Do we look like we're in prison? We do indeed look like we're in prison, but we are not. We are just having this whiteness because that's what my room looks like, and we're on my bed because I'm not feeling great, but I still want to bring you a video. This is called Dedication. Look at my sacrifices. Anyways, this is Academy Awards. I saw it on Regan's channel. Really liked it. Prue's project. You should check her out. You probably know she is. She's kind of a big deal in this area of booktube. However, this is adaptation. I changed some of the categories because I didn't like them, but this is a bookish edition of the Academy Awards because when you don't agree with the Oscars, you just make your own. First one is Best Actor, which is Best Male Protagonist, and for this I have Rowan Demisk. He is the main character in the Scythe series, and I really, really like him. I didn't read the series for the first time this year, but I reread it, and I was again amazed by how much I just freaking love him. He's just amazing, and I like that he sacrifices everything, and not in like a nice, like, I'm just gonna be the best person ever. He's willing to take risks and kind of gamble his humanity for the sake of other people, and that is a trait I can get behind. And then we have Best Actress, who is a female protagonist, and for this we got Miss Marvel, the one and only Camilla Khan. I really enjoy her development. I enjoy the fact that she's just a regular teenager who lives in New Jersey and writes fan fiction about superheroes who are real in her world until she becomes a superhero, and she is protecting New Jersey when also being a teenager and dealing with all the intersections of her identity as a Muslim Pakistani girl, and it's just amazing, and we should all love her. So this is the one I should really actually have the cover for, but I don't own this book, sadly. But this is Lilani of the Distant Sea, and it definitely wins Best Costume Design, which in this version is Best Cover. We will have it here. I really love the way that it looks. I'm not a cover buyer, but I was looking through the new audiobooks that my library had, and this caught my eye, so I checked it out, and I read it immediately because no one had checked it out, and it is a middle grade novel that deals with some original Filipino mythology, and it is absolutely lovely. Like, I recommend it to all ages. I think that majority of people will really enjoy it, and it is unique and fresh and lyrical and amazing. We have our supporting actors for male and female, so our side characters that we love, and she's not necessarily a side character, but I absolutely love her, and that is Helene Aquila. I really just love characters who are deep and nuanced and deal with variety of things. I also really love women who are strong in their own right, and this doesn't necessarily have to do with physicality. I prefer when it's emotional strength, when they're allowed to be both weak and strong at the same time, and I just really appreciated that about her. And then we also have Best Supporting side character, and that would be Silas from Sorcery of Thorns. I'm pretty sure he's a favorite person of everyone's part of Silas of Thorns. That should be the name of the novel. But Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. And this is an interesting book in which there are living books, but the most exciting thing is we have the demon who's tethered to his master, but he's just funny and hilarious and really good-natured and has a huge soul for someone who is a demon. Giving a nice shout out to the friend in Nevermore. So we have Hawthorne's brother who took a vow of silence so he can't talk. So he has a blackboard, and you think that, like, you know, people who want to take a vow of silence would probably be like austere and like quiet, but he's just like constantly snarky and sarcastic. And he only appears in like one scene, but I just really liked him. Talking about Nevermore, we also have this winning Best Screenplay or otherwise Best Plot or World, and this is one of my favorite worlds. I think that Jessica Townsend has the potential to pretty much be the next J.K. Rowling because she is so well thought of, so clever in her writing style. It's humorous, it's great, it's full, like, just oozing life. And the thing that I think Harry Potter is so known for is the fact that even though it doesn't have a perfect magic system, it has such a real one. Like, it feels like every element of society really is incorporated with magic, and I would say that this is true. You just discover more about this world, and it's just breathing magic and world and cleverness, and I am very much excited for Hollowpox, which comes out this year. I read these first two this year. Category is Best Adapted Screenplay, which transfers to Best Adaptation. For this would be The Umbrella Academy. I loved this series. I thought the character work was amazing. I thought the plot was amazing. I thought the family dynamics and intersection of abuse and complications of dynamics is just so amazing. I cannot wait till season 2. I realize it's going to take a while because it's going to be well done, but I was blown away. So I wanted to read the comic by Gerald Way, and I was very disappointed. It is very disjointed It doesn't even have like very much character development, doesn't have any exposition. You're just kind of flown into random things. There's some elements that I do enjoy. Like, I enjoy the fact that we have the villains that are just obsessed with music. I enjoy that there's some interesting conversation about whether he's an alien or whatever. But in the end, I just am impressed that they took this disjointed story and made it into such a beautiful story. Like Claus, the most probably developed, flawed, interesting character that everyone loves in the series, doesn't even have his first name said in the first like volume. He's only ever called by his number, and that like shocked me because it's so crazy to me. And then we have Best Animated Feature, and for this I did Best Graphic Novel, and this would be Deadly Class. This isn't a flawless story, but in regards to transferring the modem of graphic novels onto the page, I think it is one of the most well done. I think that the thoughts that Rick Remender says about mental health, about memory, the way that they visualized it is so incredible. I was blown away by it. I've actually recreated, I think, twice on my Instagram on trying to show how this book made me feel by taking parts of my own nostalgia, parts that mean a lot to my mental health and memory, and putting that in and creating what he did there. But I can't do it because I'm not that artistic, but I think that he did it so well. We have Best Director, and for this we have my author that I fell in love with this year, and for this we have Elizabeth Acevedo. I am going to have a list of authors I fell in love with in 2019, just as I did in 2018, because that was one of my favorite videos to make, but she is definitely going to be on this list. I really enjoyed Poet X, and then this book blew me away. It is definitely one of my favorite new favorites, and this deals with a single mother who is in her final year of high school, and she's wanting to be a baker, but she knows that that's not necessarily practical for her as a job to get ahead. And I love the nuance. The first book by her, Poet X, is written in verse, isn't written in verse, but it may as well because it's so lyrically well written. It has such emotion and depth, and I appreciate the care that Elizabeth Acevedo, I always stutter on her name, I am always sorry for that, and I just appreciate the care that she does with characters, the emotions. I cried, I bawled through this book so much, and I can't wait to reread it because it is so well done. Next, we have Best Visual Effects, which transfers to Best Action, and for this, it is going to be An Ember in the Ashes. I really appreciate this story. I am not a person who likes action. I don't like writing it. I kind of skim it while reading. I'm normally, when I'm watching it on television, I just kind of zone out, or I'm doing something else when I'm watching action scenes, but this book did such a great job. I read it almost a year ago, and I can still visualize the fight scenes so well, and I can barely visualize people's character, like what they look like. So I think that Sabaa Tahir just did an extraordinary job of doing that in Ember in the Ashes. Next, we have Best Musical Score. The question was supposed to be surrounding Best Music and Adaptation, and I wasn't going to use this at all, and then I realized that while writing the questions, I was literally listening to Toss a Coin to Your Witcher, so I guess I could do that as an honorary term, but I really wanted to shout out Beth Crowley. She is someone I've been following for, 5-6 years, really long time, and she does adaptations of music from books, and she has some famous ones to deal with the Shadowhunters, with Cinder and the surroundings of there, but she has pretty much ones for so many different adaptations. She also does original books, and I really, really love her voice, her music, her style. It makes me cry a lot, and I think that she deserves so much love, especially from the Bookish community, and she takes recommendations of series to make original music for. So totally check her out, totally listen to her, and she is just extraordinary. And then we have Best Short Film, which transfers to Best Novella. I really love Sheena Maguire this year. I reread a lot of her works and read some for the first time, and I really appreciate her work. And In an Absent Dream, which was her last novella last year, I just loved it. I loved that she takes such story and such lance, and she combines it into like 200 pages and packs a punch. This follows Lundy, and she is in the goblet market, which everything costs something. And I just fell in love with the story, with the characters. I cried, I laughed, I had fun, and I think that that's everything you want in a novella and more. And then we have Best Picture or Best Standalone. This is going to go to Other Words for Home by Jessica Warka. This book took me by storm. I don't even know where I heard about it because it's not a book that's talked about on BookTube, which makes me sad, but this is a story about a 12-year-old Syrian refugee who is in Syria while the war is happening on, and she has to choose to leave a place that she's only known as home that she really, really loves. And she goes with her mother, leaving her brother and her father behind in their family because they couldn't get passage. And they go and live with her uncle in somewhere. Washington, I think? Anyways, Washington State, I believe. Seattle-ish. And she goes there, and it's about being a refugee, being a Muslim, being someone who deals with the trauma of home, and what does that mean? And it is written in verse. It is so beautiful. I cried, I laughed. It has a great love interest. It has everything, and it's not a love-heavy book at all. It's just, you know, a cute boy. They're 12, and it's lovely. And she wants to be an actress, too, and also, like, the intersections of how do we put women in boxes, how do we put Muslim women in boxes. It's such a great book. And then we have, last and certainly not least, Best Documentary, which is either historical fiction or nonfiction, and I'm going to do both because I love them so much. Little Fires Everywhere, which is Celeste Ng, and I really loved this book. This sets in 1997, which some people don't consider historical fiction, but I checked, it's over 20 years, so definitely historical fiction. It deals with this kind of, I don't know, there's so many characters, but how intersections of life deals with like casual, polite racism, especially against the Asian community, and all of these things intersecting. What does it mean to be a woman? What does it mean to have relationships? And I don't know, it's more theme focused, so it's really hard, but at the beginning we're told that that a house is burned down, and we explore the different dynamics that brought us there. And then we have You're Not a Country, Africa by Pius Adesanya, which deals with a group of essays and memoir about his experiences of growing up in Nigeria, about being abroad, and what does that mean. And it is such an extraordinary book. It has so much sass, so much sarcasm, and so much information. I have a ridiculous amount of lists of essays and like references, and I have like several vlogs where I'm just like reading aloud and laughing. I wrote like notebooks full of quotes from this book, and I highly recommend it if you can get your hands on it. And for me, that is my Academy Awards list for 2019. These books are extraordinary and lovely. If you want to do this, do it, because it's gonna be fun and we can make our own awards.